Okay, so one thing that I've noticed is that YouTube boxing has actually gotten like really big. Like, don't get me wrong, I saw the first fights of when like KSI and like Logan Paul were like such a big deal. But now seeing that KSI is officially fighting people like Tommy Temper for some reason, like really like face Temper out of all people who could box. I don't know. Honestly, I think it's gone so downhill. And that leads me to the question, if I had to box someone, and I mean literally any YouTuber, who would you think I would box? I was thinking about doing Austin Luna, or maybe I would even box Scrubs. I don't know. I'll literally box anyone. I'm gonna be brutally honest. Because like, don't get me wrong, being in the ring is exciting for me, and I think it's pretty cool. And this story is about how I actually got into the ring one time with my high school bully. And trust me, this story does get intense, so make sure to do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's get straight into the story. All right, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So this story starts back, actually, funny enough, I want to say in my grade 11 year. Now, in grade 11, I was already really known throughout the school for being with a lot of different girls and stuff, and don't get me wrong, I was like a major player and always doing the Devil's Tango. But one thing I never realized as I was doing all these things is that a lot of guys would envy me. And by envy, I mean be jealous of me. Now, at first, I didn't really care why, nor did I really want to bother, because either way, I still had the boys that were like my close friends that understood me and well enough to know that I'm not that kind of person to really care for the girls I've been with. But for some reason, there was one guy in my school who would always pick on me. But not only pick on me, but pick on a lot of different other people. Now, don't get me wrong, this guy in no way was he like charming or was he attractive or nothing like that whatsoever. But one thing I can say was that a lot of women would turn him down, and a lot of the women that turned him down have actually done the Devil's Tango with me. Anyways, I remember one day I was sitting in the cafeteria, just kind of chilling, being on my own, and I was just kind of just writing a paper that I had to do for English class. And out of nowhere, the guy was literally coming into the cafeteria, the bully that, well, no one really liked. And I remember he was just kind of walking around the cafeteria, and I found it really odd. But then I remember a girl ended up running into the cafeteria and running into him saying, "Oh, hey, I got your message. You want to talk to me? Like, what's going on?" And as I was overhearing their conversation, because they were literally like right behind me, I remember this guy that like no one liked in my school literally said, "Oh, like, I was just wondering, like, do you want to like maybe like go out sometime?" As I was hearing this, I was really like kind of like weirded out, but at the same time almost kind of laughing, because I don't know, I found it funny. Just, I don't know, it was just a funny moment. Like, don't you guys laugh when like you hear something like really awkward come out of someone else's mouth? I know I do. So basically when I heard that, I was kind of like giggling, and then out of nowhere, I remember seeing this girl. She looked at me, and then she looked back at the guy and said, "Oh, I'm sorry. It's just like, trust me, it's not you, it's me. Like, I just don't think I'm ready for a relationship yet." And when a girl says this, I'm saying this right now, it is the most cap, most BS thing that any girl could say. Like, no joke. When a girl would say that, I'm saying this right now, the problem isn't her. It's definitely you. So to all the guys that's been told, "Oh, like, it's nothing with you, it's me." No, just know it is actually you. Like, figure out your stuff, bro. But basically, I remember hearing that, and I literally couldn't hold it anymore, and I literally got up and left the cafeteria. I didn't want to be mean and literally laugh right in front of him, so I decided to be nice and left the cafeteria and started laughing when I was going down the hallway. But as I was walking down the hallway, I remember out of nowhere, the girl that was literally just asked out came up beside me and said, "Oh, hey, Bubba, like, what are you doing?" I remember I was just walking with her, and I'm like, "Oh, nothing, you know, just chilling, just hanging out and stuff. What about you?" And me and her, we started walking together to her next class. I remember as we were walking, though, this guy ended up going through the outside cafeteria doors and entering in the school where we just walked to. And when we entered in, he literally saw me and her literally standing together and talking. Now, the girl's back was facing him, so obviously the girl didn't notice he was there. And this girl, for some reason, had the gall, and I mean the literal gall, to literally ask me out right in front of him. No joke. She was like, "Oh, like, hey, I was just wondering, like, you're really cute, and like, I'm not really doing anything this Saturday. Do you want to like maybe go out sometime?" I remember I looked at the girl and I looked at the guy behind him, which is like the bully that literally just asked her out. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be for real with you. I think I'm busy that day. You know, I'm just chilling." And then this guy was so infumed, like literally in flames. Like, I'm not joking. He literally looked like the character from Inside Out, the red character with like the red flames coming out of him. Yeah, he literally looked just like that. Mad at me, dude. Like, he was so mad to the point where he decided to come into our conversation, pop up behind the girl and say, "Oh, okay, I get it now. So you're gonna ask him out, but you're not gonna go out with me even though I asked you. What kind of woman are you? What does this guy have that I don't?" And right as he says that, he ends up pushing me up against the lockers. Now, at this point, I'm not gonna lie, I was in grade 11. I ain't no wuss at this time and age. So I remember I literally stood up against him. I'm like, "Hey, what do you mean? What's wrong with me, bro?" And then afterwards, we start kind of like, you know, pushing each other in the hallway. And then a teacher comes out of the classroom, says, "Hey, boys, this is not the setting for a fight. Seriously, take it to the office." So me and this dude, we end up going to the office, and, you know, we had a talking to, blah, 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 all that office stuff where the principal really never knows what's going on. And then afterwards, me and this guy, we ended up walking away and going our separate ways. Now, usually I would hope the story would end here, but sadly it didn't. Because I remember remember one time my buddy saw me and he was like, yo, bro, like I'm taking this new boxing gym like course. Do you want to like come with me? I heard you're like kind of experienced in boxing. Which since I did like boxing in like middle school, and this was like just for a bit, and that's a story for a different time. But you know, boxing in middle school, I had like little experience, but at the same time, I was still a kid, so I never really like got back into it. I don't know. I just prefer video games instead. But when he invited me, I remember this was a good friend of mine, and I decided to try it out. So I remember in grade 11, we ended up going to this boxing gym. Now this boxing gym was like really like run down. Like it was like one of those ones that you'd see like Rocky Balboa go into like in like the movies. It was just a basic rundown boxing gym. And I won't lie, it was pretty cool. I remember me and my buddy were just practicing sparring, and you know, we were punching the bag and doing the same old usual things that boxers usually do when they train. And then out of nowhere, I'm not joking when I say this, out of nowhere, this guy that literally was basically a bully at my school walked into the boxing gym. And when he saw me, I'm not joking when I say this, he literally drops his duffel bag that he was carrying with his boxing gloves in it and walks up to me saying, well, that's good, I found you here, little bum. And he ended up pushing me on the ground. I remember I looked at him like, dude, you need to calm down. Like, seriously, this is not gonna get you anywhere. Like, what do you want to do, huh? What are you gonna do, huh? And basically started like, you know, yelling at him somewhat in the boxing gym. And then out of nowhere, these two guys ended up coming up behind us both, like these two really big guys, like that were like really built, and kind of just started pulling us back and like basically making sure that we don't actually hurt each other with our bare knuckle fists. And then afterward, basically, we ended up getting separated apart, and the guys at the boxing gym were talking to us and saying that if you guys want to fight each other, there's only one place to fight, and that's in the ring. So I remember basically me and him, we signed it up for the ring, and basically we were going to do an actual boxing fight, like an actual boxing match. But obviously we had to schedule the ring and everything, so we ended up scheduling it for Saturday. Now, the day I went to the boxing gym was on Wednesday, and basically throughout the 2 days of me going to school and going to the boxing gym to practice for the fight, everyone in the school started finding out about it. Girls at my school started finding out, and a lot of my homies at school ended up figuring out what was going on, and basically all wanted to go. So it got to the point where I want to say over 50 people in my school, and I'm not gonna lie, I think 30 of them were actually chicks and 20 of them were guys that were good friends of mine, literally ended up showing up on Saturday to the boxing gym to watch me beat this guy. We all ended up going to the boxing gym. We ended up basically, you know, getting ready and stuff, and I started practicing on my side of the ring while he was practicing on his side of the ring. We were sparring for a bit, you know, practicing with our partners, and then afterwards we got ready and we sat down, we got ready for boxing. Now, I'm not gonna lie, we only used like, I think 6-pound gloves. We didn't use like any actual like heavyweight gloves that were like, you know, usually 10-pound gloves that most boxing people use in like the actual rings. We're using basic gloves. We had helmets on, obviously, because we were not really planning on knocking someone out. I personally like my face, you know, I like to keep my face for YouTube. And basically me and him, we ended up basically going through our sides, prepping up, talking to our guys, and then afterwards we sat down, we got ready. The announcer came on stage and basically said, all right, in this corner we have a Rash Baba Moini, and in this corner we have, well, I'm not gonna say his name because, you know, the story is about him and I don't want any legal trouble. So yeah, going on. Basically from there, the bell ended up ringing. We ended up going up against each other. We started fighting. I ended up punching him, he was punching me, you know, the basic same old that you usually see in the boxing ring. But then afterwards, this guy has the audacity, and I mean the audacity, to punch me in the back of the head. And when he punched me in the back of the head, don't get me wrong, it hurt, but it was a very not legal move, meaning that he was not allowed to punch me in the back of the head. It is like a basic boxing rule you're not allowed to do. But obviously I didn't complain about it. I just moved on from it and said, hey, you want to fight like that? We can do that. So basically from there, I remember this guy was a bit taller than me, by the way. I was only like 5'7" at the time, I think. And basically this guy was like, I want to say almost 6 foot. So one thing I really had to do was that since he had more of a reach on me, I ended up punching his liver a lot. And when you hit someone in the stomach that is really taller than you, it hurts a lot, especially when you hit the liver area. At least that's what you learn when you're doing basic fighting training. And then from there, basically one thing led to another. I ended up punching his liver. His face ended up going down, and that's when I uppercutted him. I no joke uppercutted the guy, and basically I remember he ended up going on the ground. He was on the ground, but I guess he didn't really understand boxing rules because he ended up staying on the ground longer than 10 seconds. At this point, I remember the bell rang and I'm like, oh my goodness, I actually just won. Everyone started freaking out. Everyone started like, you know, yelling, congratulations, yay. And don't get me wrong, it felt good, but as he was laying on the ground crying, I basically saw in his eyes that he was really upset when he saw the girl basically cheering for me that he asked out the other day. And at that point, I remember I basically helped him get up and I dabbed him up and said, bro, good fight. And then afterwards, he kind of just ended up being a good friend of mine. And to this day, we're still friends. Well, somewhat. I don't know. I don't really talk to him much anymore, but hey, what can I say? It was a good fight and I ended up getting friends out of it. Anyways, guys, that was basically it for today's story. Make sure to do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like I always say, just follow for more embarrassing stories.